It's ridiculous. So rather than embracing the consequences and being basically at this stage where I'm at the place of they're worthy of death because of their mocking of us. So they should be have throats sputtering out blood because they're just that fucking honestly, honestly. Um, so our worthless excuses of parents, as well as the worthless excuses of males, and all of them, all of these fictitious players. There's a lot of players. Um, they have the help of the police, of course, and that's a whole team of wow, and just sad. It's all very sad. They're sad, they're just sad. And they've done this in order to make their money, which is really not, it's not. What do I mean by it's not? Okay, if you look at the music video of Michael Jackson, and he's speaking on behalf of Virgo, and if you look at Remember the Time, and he goes down, then he comes back up with this gold shirt with the wings on it, whatever. So they went through extreme lengths. These creatures, these rapists, basically the rapist and our worthless excuses of mothers. Um, they're doing this only to pillage the land and to basically kill themselves, but they're too cowardly to kill themselves. So they want to keep up this charade. That's why Pink says it's a colorful charade. Why would she kick the ceiling, though? By the way, Where are you coming from in order to be able to kick a window? Is that not a side? Are you on the side able to kick a window? Not sure. Anyways, so these sorry ass excuses of parents that we have, as well as these sorry ass excuses of whatever the fuck you want to call society, nothing more than leeches and liars. So they want to run with this. They want to run with the story of fantastical magician witchcraft and lunacy and stupidity. And rather than going with common sense and just practical logical thinking, they want to go all the way to the extreme lengths, coming up with crazy crazy ideas. So they put the music videos, and they put all of they put all this propaganda in front of you so that you'll conclude all the crazy things to drive you crazy. That's all, so that they could put you put you in a crazy house or lock you up because you finally give them what they deserve, which is for them to be dead. Absolutely. And they want you to believe that you're already dead. Technically, that is true, technically, because death is a part of life. But they come up with crazy shit. You really think that it would, from in all honesty, do you really think it would take a very long time to construct this? Really? It don't take that long. So, anyways, putting propaganda in front of you, and then telling you who the bad guys are, who the good guys are, and and then how sad is this? Let's talk about how sad this is. This is the giveaway. This is the clue. Um, to save your father, the daughter who's supposed to be protected by the moron who brought the children here. Again, these fucking cowardly ass rapists have been leeching off of our mother. Okay, Mother Earth. And their sorry asses have went through extreme lengths in a sorry ass attempt to absolve themselves. And what they've done on behalf of this trickery is they have introduced that which will fuck their asses up because of it. Because you're not going to mock, you should not mock the one who is the truth, which they've not been. So they did all this in a sick attempt to cover up their tracks and to try to absolve themselves of the many murders, the many raping, and the still to this day, every woman, by the way, whether she be the guilty woman or the non-guilty woman, has been raped. Every single last one of them have been raped. If unless they're a virgin, unless they're truly a virgin, they've been raped. Yes, they have. So even the guilty woman is more what do we call that, is more susceptible to get pardoned than these idiots. So to free him, he needs to free himself. How to tell the truth. That's how you free yourself. He has not done it because he's weak, because he's a coward, because he's selfish, because he's greedy, because he's wimpy, because he doesn't have courage. He's just very sad and disgusting to me, honestly. Now there are some who have learned, and the ones who have learned, they ended up being imprisoned. Look at Derek Chauvin, and he's wearing as his clothing that of which is the male problem. The male problem is Chauvin, but because he is the heart, he's what from a heaven aspect, from God aspect. It's not these motherfuckers that are around me. It's the ones that are in prison because of how pathetic they are. And what type of men are these that would allow something like that? Because they're more so rapist than he is. They blame him and say, well, he shouldn't have done that. Well, you shouldn't have allowed a rapist around us to begin with. And then what the crime, the other crime is the altering of the true daughters. True daughters. Now, what do we mean by true daughters? We're talking about the daughters who told the truth and died because of it. Those were the daughters that were murdered, right along with the mother who was murdered. Beautiful women, but because they had wisdom within them and they told the truth, and these sorry ass males wanted to pretend to be God, basically. Pretend, by the way. And they went through all these different routes of masonry, occultism, witchcraft. They refused. They refused to listen to anything about truth, and they thought that they could. This is their way of trying to hold their hands and go, I didn't do anything wrong. My hands are clean. Your hands are filthy and dirty. And don't say, well, I didn't do it. I don't care. That's not the point. The point is that none of you have done anything about it. You can't have rapists around us, as you are one, and thinking that you're not supposed to go sit in prison like Mr. Chauvin. Replace Chauvin with these ones. All these ones, ain't none of them stood up and did nothing right. And then they want to pretend to be holier than thou by saying, oh, well, he shouldn't have murdered him. It's against the law. What the fuck law are you talking about? Now, all of a sudden, you want to give people on earth laws. Wait a second. Wait a minute. What's this? And then deeds? What is this? Deeds? How are you going to, who gave permission for the earth to be slithered up by a bunch of rapist criminals? Who's the one who did that? So then they want to go off the story of, well, it's just a part of yourself. Technically, they're technically telling the truth, but that's not the whole truth. You're an individual, especially on the earth realm. We're coming from a place of common sense, not fucking lunacy, which is Looney Tunes. That's loony. So the one who is revered in your mind is who has the most, what do we say? Has the most leverage in the real world. Now, this real world is not real at all. But the only reason why it's given any sort of realness is because of the earth. The world is an illusion. It's an illusion. It's all an illusion. It's all a figment of your imagination. All the created stuff comes from earth. That's her material resources. Mind you, she's dead. She is dead, but she's still alive because we're speaking on behalf of that. So they have not been held accountable for their hypocrisy, really. Their murder, their bullying, their stalking, their targeting, they're preying on their own daughters. That's what they've done. And then the altering, and then claiming that they're white, claiming that they're allegedly Native American. If they were, they would have protected the real fathers instead of fucking making an exception for this coward over here who could not fulfill their job. That's too fucking bad. I don't feel sorry if you're not going to be able to protect them, and you're not good enough at doing it because somebody obviously can overpower you. Well, there it goes. So that's not your children. You're just a rapist. You have to be able to fulfill. You have to be able to fulfill what it is in order to make them. But you're not fulfilling that. You're cutting corners. And then altering those children, especially those daughters, and turning them into your ugly fucking ass. And then you're turning around and letting them receive what you've just traded off onto someone else's womb of which you've raped. And that's what they've been doing, altering the daughters. Yep, and they're weak as fuck because look, you're a rapist because look at the system. Don't tell me how you're oppressed. I don't give a fuck if you're oppressed. Good for you. That's what you deserve. That's what you deserve for oppressing these women. If you're so oppressed and if you're going through injustices, how is your dick hard and making children? And you know that. You know that you're going through these problems, but you're still going to make children so that they can be burdened? Because you're irresponsible. And then the fathers that should have been making the children, you guys all of a sudden know how to adhere to laws, but at the same time, you're a hypocrite because you break those very same laws. Why? When his ugly ass is held accountable for it, I told you who your father was. He was the only one that was created on this earth. You're not understanding that? Because the ending or the closing, there was a book that was closed, right? What do I mean? That was an era and a phase. They failed to tell these males about themselves. And instead of telling the truth, they went along with the lie. And they went along with it. And then they were able to basically, through their own wombs, and they received the life of which the children that were produced from them, the children didn't receive because the so-called parents sold their children into slavery. Now, how does that work? You just got out of slavery. How did you put your children right back into it? By the dollar. That's why. You went with the dollar. You went with the Federal Reserve, and you disobeyed your father as well. And that's the father of which that's the father of which you guys betrayed, and you put these ugly ass motherfuckers ahead of him. And they are ugly. And by ugly, I'm not just talking about physically. They are ugly. They don't have morality. They have no morals. They don't have morals. They have no respect, no honor. They don't know how to tell truth. They're leeches. They're enslaving. They're dirty. They seriously just have a character defects that are not, there's better versions of men, okay? And there was nothing wrong with having men. You just need a better version of him. And then also, furthermore, you're not entitled to have as a slave someone who's not a criminal. The only time that you're entitled to have a slave is when that individual, not the whole entire alleged nation, because that's stupid to even think in that way. What nation are you talking about? What nation? When you've altered everybody and try to play this game of scrambling and scattering, because he wants to pretend to be something that he's never been. He's not a king at all. And the only one who is, the folks have enslaved. These folks have enslaved. Because what is he working for? To kill himself, to take the air from him and us. Where are you trying to get? Where's there to be other than Earth? There's nowhere else to be. And if you want to be up in the clouds, fine. Set him on fire so that his smoke can become a cloud and he can be free. That's how that works. What else? Oh yeah. Jesus this, Jesus that, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. That's phallus worship. It's very gay. So that's the energy and the spirit that comes out is gay. Why would a grown ass man be praying to another man? Please, Lord, save me. And then, and also furthermore, and they do the same thing in the physical realm by what they do with these police officers, because it's pitiful. Can you please come help me? She's a crazy bitch. I want her locked up. Why don't you just leave? This is her home more so than yours. And your ass wants to be the spoiled, pampered princess around here, while the women are not just enslaved to this fake ass money, they're enslaved by all this, stressed out having to raise these children that you've raped her to get, because under this construct you have raped her, because you murdered their mothers and their daughters so that you could get your way, and thinking that you can cover up your tracks. And again, going through all these grandiose ideas of mind games in order to achieve never having to be held accountable. And then because they turn to witchcraft as well, that's another one. They said that they don't want to be under these laws, and they sacrificed their religious. Some of them are still under these different covens, right? These are covens, different covens, different contracts, different, whatever regulations and blah blah blah. Pretending, by the way, they're pretending, of course, and because there are binding words, because there's living words. We are the living words, okay? And while they're fucking around playing stupid, like they don't know any better, there was a chapter that was closed because of this. When you go from one belief system to another, and then jumping in between different ones, it's just a mess. All because they don't want to confront and face the truth. See the truth in your face. So, facing women, that's what. Doesn't matter which variation, looking at the women, and then being able to distinguish who is actually your enemy, because anyone who belongs here would never here's what's a dead giveaway. Anyone who belongs here is not a advocate for slaving themselves. They're tired of being a slave for idiots. They're okay with doing the work for women because that is his partner. But these ones who have been so reluctant to tell us what a bunch of worthless, dumb nigger bitches and all this dumb shit that they've been doing, and then mocking us by putting the Nike swoop on their shoes. That's what they're symbolically doing. And then you could even say transfigure that to energetically end up doing is walking all over us, literally walking all over us. And it's very disrespectful. All of them are doing it. They love that football game. They love the basketball games. Why is that? Because they like mocking us. And they don't have any gratitude, and they're evil. Their father, on the other hand, which is, yes, even though he may, their father learned versus they didn't. That's the difference. And see, they're seeing things through the lens. A lot of them are asleep to this. They don't see through the lens of truth. Because they're mixed between systems of which became like a beast. They literally have become a beast, with a mind of a beast, of a predatory beast, which is sad, because they don't see their creator as somebody to respect. They see their creators as someone to rip off and take advantage of. And that's most majority of males do that, with the exception you might see a few of them, and usually those are the ones that are, they might be in authoritative positions, but they're hazy. That's why you have Jay-Z here. They're hazy. They're hazy. And you're working with the law of linguistics and verbal, okay? So it has some energy, it has some influence on it, because they introduced these lies and this voodoo and this craziness. And it's stupid. All they have to do is and they have to admit it on their own. They took away free will, so they forced in the law of fate and destiny. That's what they did. By trying to cover it up, they forced themselves into fate and destiny. You were destined, he was destined because he had plenty of opportunity to change, and he didn't. And he didn't confront it. He didn't do what he needed to do. Instead, what they did, they tried to project all of those problems onto the girls from a young age. They did, and it's so, that's why I'm so insulted, and it's uncalled for, because it's disgusting, actually, if you think deeper into it. So because they felt entitled to rape and rape and rape, and that's what they did. Look at all these people around you that they've enslaved. They've enslaved their own daughter, and set and had it to where she was shoved out of her own home that her mother died for. If anyone had a deed, it was our mother, the one who cared about us, not this bitch who is so stuck on that trolley of let's enslave certain people and let's do this color bullshit, whereas we can look down on people who honestly, we're wearing, look at it this way, we're wearing your skin, by the way. I'm wearing your skin because this rapist is still here. And instead of it being put into the correct order, whereas there's a man and a woman and they become a couple and they raise a family and have a family, and then from there you can try to figure out doing a society or whatever. But because of these occurrences, whereas the violations have not stopped, but then they brought in the Bible, they brought in all these religions, which then puts them under that law, and then on top of that, money, which is a chain. It's all a chain, paper and chain. So that, it's foolishness and it's ridiculous. And they by their own choices have chose to be stubborn. They're very stubborn, and they're very evil, and they're very stupid on top of that, because again, the only one who can introduce such miraculous laws and powers and things of that nature would be the father, the true father. This idiot over here who's pretending to be a father and trying to slither his way around, he's irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. I don't give a fuck about him, because he should have been phased out a long time ago. But again, because these females that kissed his ass, and that's where you get this alleged Latino, whatever you want to call him, instead of telling the truth, wanted to be a part of their world, part of their world. So you see the half truths mixed in. You want to be a part of something that you should know is wrong. And even then, when you know that it's wrong, and we know that they know because we were told by them, their own lips, they told us that the same predator that we were raised by also sexually assaulted them. So why would they be okay with your niece and your nephews being around a pedophile? How come they didn't turn to their husbands? Look, their husbands have money. Their husbands can do whatever with their money. They didn't do anything to change that. So what did they do? So what does that say to you? It says that these ones who are altering children that were part of an end of that story, because they should have been phased out because they transgressed against their own kin folk, for one. Technically, there's people that got roped into it because of them. I don't believe that everybody that is part of that unit, whatever, should be held accountable. But I'll be very clear with you. When I don't hear what needs to be heard, because evidently you're trying to condone, because they try to force us into this proximity thing, whereas, well, fine, I'm not willing to, but they do it first out of safety. They think that their asses are safe. And I'm just sitting here going like, whatever, bitch, whatever. That pit that you've dug people to fall into, that'll be the same one that you fall into. That'll be for them, not for us who are living by the word and trying to expose it. For them and nobody else but them, just them. So they're the only ones that can save. You are the only one who can save yourself when you're living under the stipulations and the rules of the lie. And when you have the truth, you would have enough decency to come face it and embrace it for what it is. Don't try to make them feel guilty. That's what all of this manipulation and all this disrespect was for and was about, was to instill into those of which were victimized, for you to take the burden of what they've been doing to you. So then what I would suggest to you is, while they're playing around, because they are playing, you go on ahead and say what the penalty is for what they're doing. If somebody is still around you in your real life, we're not living in Back to the Future. We're not doing that. We're living right here, right now. It's currently 6:33 p.m. at it's October 22nd, 2024. That's what the date is. So if you know that there are people who are still breathing who shouldn't be, because they're refusing to do anything about their issue, about what they've done, which, like I've said, for the males, their crime by and large has been rape. For others, it's abuse. And furthermore, ultimately, it's been the exploitation and extortion of material resources, all the while trampling over mom and her daughters and trying to cover it up and having no remorse whatsoever. So, what I say is, their father, or the one that I've elected as father, he has absolute protection. He's the only one that is protected, actually, besides for the daughters and I. He's the only one that is protected. The rest of these motherfuckers that are all sick and shit. And I know that because of this crazy lunatic, this bitch who has played this game of hallelujah, thank you, Jesus, all that bullshit. She's got a lot of hell to pay. He said, "Are you sweating?" He said, "He'll make you sweat for this." Yeah, he'll make you sweat for it, all right. Because why? Because you went for it. And then you have the nerve enough to do what you've done to these women, to these girls who your sons have raped and changed. In the meanwhile, you've been pretending. They've been able to create these decoys. I call them decoys. Pretending like they're this people and this nation. No, they're not. No, they're not. I've already stated there is one version. There's only one, actually. It's very true. There's only one. And by one, I'm talking about a certain personality, uh, the demeanor, their character. And although they may have done some things, I forgive them, because I understand that from his perspective, that's what he had to do. And I agree with him. That is what he kind of had to do. He had no other choice, because you're not going to be on earth disparaging women and leeching off of them and raping them and having a jolly good time, and then also on top of that wanting to rip off other people who are better than you. And that's the truth. They are. He's a better version of a man than these ones. Combined, he's still better than them. And that's the truth. All of these nations are being created illegally. And they did that by having their allegedly man-made laws, if they are men. Okay, sure. So, anyways, yep, that'll be the end of that. And for now, that's what happens when you give more power to the lie than you do for the truth. And I don't give a fuck about them. I don't care, because they disrespected people that were worthy of respect. What do I say is the resolution? For them to be a slave and get rid of money, because all you're doing is taking our air and our clothes. You're taking our clothes and the air to breathe, to keep these pitiful excuses around. And they're slaves of our husbands. And our husbands are the ones who are strong enough to deal with it, to do something about them. I don't believe in making exceptions for disgusting, disrespectful. Mm-mm. No, no. They're talking about they got workers and shit like that who has a deed to this earth and that this is private property. Oh, really? People who say things like that, private property, but we don't get respect for our boundaries. Oh, no. Because, like I said, a real woman and a real man, they would happily sacrifice money and they would still be able to get the job done and do what they need to do as a family unit or whatever. Now, if you're a female criminal, which is an enabler, somebody who would prefer to protect a predator or somebody who's perverse or perverted, you would rather be on the side of that than to be on the side of what is right. You're okay with enslaving somebody because of how they look. There's something wrong with you. If you can't see the you inside of yourself, I can see me from any alleged fake ass race. It doesn't matter. It's still wrong. And then terrible, terrible parenting. You would never do that to the children or anyone's child. But because they have a lack of morality and they're evil, they don't give a fuck. How long does this go on? Forever, for the first time in forever. First time in forever. Maybe if they would sacrifice their pride and stop lying. So that's why I'd be like, oh, okay, well, you see that spider? That spider's very poisonous. You've never seen a spider like that before. It's going to bite you and you'll die in the next, I don't know, maybe 24 minutes. You say something like that. Start talking like that. For those of you who have been wronged, you're the ones who have that power to do so. Nobody else. Nobody who disrespects the truth has any power over the word. The one who has power over the word is the truth teller. So say whatever you want to say to happen to them. That spider right there is going to go ahead and sink into your, yep. Oh, well, that's what happens. You'll be just fine. You who tell the truth will be just fine. These who tell lies and are sneaky and stealing from us, because they're stealing from you and I and pretending like they have a right to be doing that when they don't. You tell me, you take a look around at this so-called world and see how filthy and vile it is. Where are the children? I don't hear no laughter because they're pretty weak. You see chopping down a Christmas tree, so-called Christmas tree. Do you see how disrespectful that is? And then they wrap presents that they've spent the dollars with to buy presents and wrap them up with more paper and stick them under the tree. Do you see that? That's disrespectful. You're taking the air from their lungs. Go watch that Michael Jackson, What About Us? No, not What About Us, the Earth Song. Look up Earth Song. Look it up. Look that song up. And then after you listen to that, listen to Remember the Time. I'm talking about talking about fake ass characters, this one and that one. What is a caseworker? What is that? That's nothing but lying. Our fathers. And these motherfuckers are not. What is that? That's not a father. That's shameful. We want fathers that are capable of doing that's what your dick said. If you can stick your dick inside of a woman, that's what you took an oath and said. You have no business trying to call no police. It's embarrassing because what you're doing when you're calling him, you're saying who he is on top of that. So that's God to you anyways, especially you. So that's God. Why are you having the children? Why are these sorry ass males that can call us? What do they call us again? Hoes. They call us hoes. What are they? What are we being called hoes? What are they if they're birthed from us? And another thing is because so-called colored women don't want to talk about the problems either. They're okay, like Candace Owen. That's a fake ass bitch right there. That's a perfect example. She wants to go we talk about we us black people. This no. Your so-called male is a rapist, and you felt compelled to go over there and marry him after him future wise, if that's what you want to call that. She's embarrassing to me. because you'll turn around and live a life of so-called, oh, well, a quality life and a nice home and all that on the earth of which you're going to sue, play games in the courtrooms and call herself a Christian? Oh, really? So you're okay with other girls being enslaved and raped, and you're not going to talk about it or do anything about that, not even have a word about that, but then you're going to turn around and talk about victim mentality and this and that. Yeah, it's wishy-washy. She's a wishy-washy bitch. Half truths. She only tells half truths. She doesn't tell the whole full thing. You would be upfront, you'd be very vocal and brave about it and say exactly what it is that males across the board are rapists. They are. And the best version of these predators that we have is a alleged white man. That's what you would say. You would have enough balls to say that. Yeah, you would. You would have enough courage to say that instead of pretending and dancing around it. Yeah. And then you'd also bring up the case about 500 years of slavery, allegedly, and how he's on TV with the Nike sign on his jersey and on his shoes. And what is he doing? A high contact sport, tackling each other. So, what is that doing to our physical bodies? That's what they're doing to us. They got Nikes on there. Do you see that Nike swoosh? Look at a new box of Newport. Look at a box of Newports, and you tell me, is this not the Nike symbol? When you go like this, that's the fucking Nike symbol. Let's look that up. I'm gonna look it up for you since you want to keep playing. So let's look at Nike, the goddess, right? That's Venus. I'm your Venus. And they love football, don't they? Just ridiculous. But they don't love the ones who gave them life. They have no regard, no reverence at all. None. Like we're supposed to be asking them for anything. They should be giving us a life hand over fist by making their bodies of use instead of being a whole fucking just a fraud. So let's take a look. We're looking at Nike, the goddess. Okay. She personifies victory, right? Art, music, and war. This is Nike. This is, and look at this. Newport, right? Newport. And it's in green, so that's grass. Who's the grass? And look what the colors. It's white, and it's got gold around it. All right. So, but they've got it upside down. They've got it upside down. So what is that saying? If this is the right side up, if that's Nike right side up, and that's Nike upside down, and then smoking, burning, you're burning her. So anyways, let's take a look. She personifies victory, music, art, war, athletics. She's often portrayed as the winged victory. So she's on wings. This, by the way, is Lilith. So she's often portrayed as the winged victory in the motion of flight. She can appear without wings as a wingless victory. She's also attributed to Athena. In Greek literature, she's the attendant to the gods Zeus and Athena. What's that? Nike gained this honored role besides Zeus during the Titanomachy, where she was one of the first gods to offer her allegiance to Zeus at Athens. Nike became a servant to Athena as well as an attribute of her due to the prominent status. Okay, so then when you're talking about this one who refused to confront the problem, which when you're talking about alleged Black people, you've got the issue of Africans selling slaves that were not criminals. So that was a problem there. Another problem is the rape that's Still ain't fixed. The inability to take care of their own children. They neglect their children and abuse them. They rape the women. That's what they've been doing. Like I've told you, I can't stress that. I cannot stress this enough. All of them of any alleged fake ass race have been raping. The only one who, for the most part, has done any learning and has improved out of the whole entire charade of the male, as the male demographic as a whole, majority of them are guilty, and they need to be held accountable. It's unavoidable. They need to. They have no choice but to. It's either slavery or death, because I'm not putting up with them. They're rapists. They've already murdered. They've kidnapped our children. What do you think is happening to our girls? What do you think they're doing? What do you really think that they're up to? You think they're up to good things? Really? When you've got an alleged homosexual male, a black male who's homosexual, sitting on top of a bull, and who is represented by the bull on the astrology? Taurus, is it not? It's a Taurus. Who is the ruler over Taurus? Venus. And who's Venus? Nike. So my daughter, the bull, and you've got a gay black male on top of the bull. Why is he on top of the bull? It's a sign of disrespect. It's a lack of respect. It's a constant, let's use women and their bodies to enjoy this life of which we don't have no reverence for the very beings who birth us. Do you see the issue here? So then rather than them being grown ass men, doing shit like building homes for their own children, because the men are supposed to pass on the wealth, they're supposed to give you the housing, not the reversal. We already gave you the substance, the material. So not only do we birth the humans, literally, this is our home more so than theirs. And yet they want to be able to tell us where we need to go, all the while being the reason why we're here, because they violated their own law. You see? Do you see the problem here? So they murdered us first because they didn't want to listen to the voice of reason. They didn't want a reason. They said, hate don't need a reason. Hate don't need a reason. That's what they said. And then they wanted to continue on making up laws and coming up with all these constructs for the girls, and still mocking me to this very fucking second. Still mocking me. They need to be smacked, honestly. They need to be smacked because they just are just that out of touch. But anyways, so they're out of touch and they can be touched at any given time. And I don't know why anybody would feel so good to do that. Like, that's really stupid. How are you a female on Earth okay with that? And you would rather make an enemy out of someone who's advocating for your stupid fucking ass to still exist while you have a chance. That's fucking pathetic to me. So you'd rather be friends with somebody who literally is mocking you every day and raping and stealing from not just our home, but from you. And you'd rather be mad at me and have a problem with me than the motherfucker who's right there in your fucking face with your fucking product. That's your fucking stuff. That's why I cannot. So anyways, at the very least, you would at least have enough courage to tell that sorry son of a bitch, 500 plus years of slavery, nigga, you fucked up at your job. How are you on the field mocking me, mocking all women, and mocking my daughter on top of that? Singing. Okay, you're singing, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. You're gonna play games, mocking our mother, and then changing us, altering us, and now we're allegedly black. If that were the case, if the black woman was supposed to get some sort of respect from me, she would have done what she needed to do instead of talking about it's racism. No, it's not. It's rape. And you need to call him out for what the fuck he's doing, because that's what they're doing. When the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot. And if a nigga get an attitude, yeah. Snoop Dogg and Pharrell. Oh yeah, talk about Uranus or Uranus, whatever. Uranus is something hit the planet and it knocked it on its side. Now you're talking about Godsmack. That's a Godsmack Serenity. The Godsmack is a rock and roll band, right? So now you're talking about Godsmack. I'm here on Earth. I need serenity. Where do we go when we just don't know? I just told you. Go listen to it. Don't lie and say that you didn't use the name. And when will we learn to control? Why are you trying to control me? You should be able to control yourself. Why can't you control your fucking self? Why can't you hold people accountable? Why do I have to always do fucking work for you fuckers? And then they want us to die for them too. They want us to die for them because they're too, I don't know what it is. I don't give a fuck what it is. We're not here to be your scapegoats or martyrs. Your sorry asses deserve what the fuck you get when it comes to if you have to confront and be well acquainted with death. Oh, so well. Oh well. Die then. Because that's what you want to do anyways. Just die. Take that. You'll no longer breathe. It'll be an erased memory of you entirely because there's no point. You know better. So don't lie. Don't bother. You damn right. I don't give a fuck about nobody who could be that damn disingenuous and be that fucking evil to do that to innocent children and women and men who have every right to be here because I said so. They have a right to be here. I don't know about you guys who still ain't done what you needed to do. You know what you need to do. You can live, but you're not going to be living free. You're entitled to be enslaved just like how you enslaved other people in this lifetime that you've done it. So don't lie. Oh. Now, in this moment is a band name, by the way. What are some movies? I mean, not movies. Yeah, sure. What are some songs that she has? Are You Sick Like Me? She has a Big Bad Wolf. And what's another one? Hollow. My roots run deep into the hollow. So if I'm here and I've witnessed it, what does that say? It means that you guys are individuals and you're to be held accountable for each of your crimes that you have not ever done what you needed to do. You don't dare fucking hurt and offend any child on my planet Earth, abusing them and thinking that you're getting away with that. And those who don't come forward with it, they're entitled to get their asses handed to them and get fucked up off with their heads because there's no need for them to be around. There's no point. You don't fucking abuse children all the while suffocating us for every damn tree so that you can doing stupid shit. You're going to try and kill yourself. You can't keep this up. No, you can't keep that system up because it's going to kill you and you're taking the breath away. That's dumb. It's really dumb. They're like, bitch, better have my money. That's dumb. So don't be lazy. Don't destroy my gardens. When I've already done what I needed to do, you guys went out of your way to destroy it so that you could stay enslaved to a system that you were already freed from? For what? Because you're scared? What are you scared of? You're scared of dying, are you? Death is a part of life, so why are you making other people die who need to be here? He said he needs serenity. I agree with him because I love him. He's my child, not you. I can tell it ain't you because you ain't telling no truth. You've kept these sorry ass niggas around. When the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop it like it's hot. When the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop it like it's hot. Who's the mom?